Good evening, everybody. It is Monday, December 21st, and we are at the Newfane Selectboard regular meeting. We have Mike Fitzpatrick, Shelley Huber, Angela Sanborn on Zoom. I'm Marion Dowling, and Chris Williams is absent this evening. So I thank everybody for being here, and we will begin. I'm asking if there are any additions or amendments to the agenda. Okay, none. So we move on to approval of minutes. The first minutes are from December 7th, which was our regular select board meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of accepting, please say aye.
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 I wasn't there.
Oh, you weren't there, and I'll say aye. Okay, so we have the quorum accepting. Thank you, and we move on to December 14th budget meeting.
Make a motion to accept it.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay. Any conversation or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. And Angela, were you absent, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, so we say aye and it's been accepted. Road business, is Jay Wilson present, please? Oh, I see you, Jay.
The storm on Thursday was substantial with very little visibility. It went well, but it was just a lot of snow at one time. We need to send letters on Back Street with a new wooden fence in the town right away, explaining that the snow off the plow will most likely damage his fence and the town is not responsible. The other is a resident on Toby Hill Road, has been putting a large pile of snow in the road from his driveway. I want to remind people that they cannot plow or snow blow snow into the town road. The Depot Road culvert, the bank has filed a foreclosure on the Fickett property, further delaying our box culvert. We now need to wait for the sale to happen on January 19th before we can work on getting the easement from the new owners. The Newfane Village Speed Committee will be having a Zoom meeting Thursday to go over the traffic safety audit that has been completed for Newfane Village. I had hoped we could have the meeting prior to tonight so we could discuss it, but we haven't been able to, so we'll have it for the next meeting. The sand salt shed, Bell Engineering is now on the next phase of plans for the state. And the Arch Bridge should be going out to bid a week from this Wednesday. That's it.
Excuse me, can we get Jay's full face on the screen?
I'm trying.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for your report, Jay. And also, again, thank you always for your road crew doing an excellent job of taking care of the snow removal or pushing the snow to the side so that the vehicles can get by in a safe way. Does anybody have a question or?
Yes, I number 2, the Depot Road culvert update. What's the Fickett property's location? Address.
I think it's 254 Depot Road. I don't have it right in front of me, but it's 3 places south of the town garage.
And then the flat right there.
I can't get the full view.
No, you
It's not letting me do speaker view, but that's the best I can do.
Jay, what time's the Zoom meeting on Thursday?
8:30.
Thank you.
Is that, oh, on Zoom? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Will you be
How do people, Jay, is it going to be announced about getting the Zoom address if people want to join in?
I've sent it to the 2 people that met with us. They're welcome to send it out to whoever. I didn't know who else would be interested.
I can post it on the website if anybody wants it.
Yes.
and I'll send it to each of the select board members.
Yes, thank you. Okay, and is that posted around the town?
No,
No, okay.
no, because it's not a warrant meeting, it's just a informational meeting.
Okay. Anybody have another question or concern with Jay's report?
So as far as like the fencing goes, I'm sure you don't know specifically, but when they put that fence up, they must have had zoning approval.
I don't think so. I was gonna wait till tomorrow to see if Merle came in and check.
Okay. So, but a letter does need to go to those people one way or the other.
And was the property owner and so forth. And give it to Juanetta.
And then also making a note on the website and maybe even on front porch about not putting the snow into the roadways.
That would be good.
Yeah, so I recommend doing that,
Yes, absolutely.
right?
Yes.
Jay, have you heard anything about a bunch of rain by the end of the week?
Yes.
Do you think they ought to try to wing their ditches back or not?
That's what our plan is. The snow wasn't sticky until this afternoon. Hopefully now it'll stay back. It kept falling back in behind us. So I think after it's warmed up here a little, we can actually move it.
Somebody said it's supposed to get 2 to 4 inches of rain Friday.
Yeah,
Friday?
And it'll happen if that powder ain't pushed back, it'll plug the culverts.
yeah. So are you talking about making like entrances into the
No, shove the snow back away from the ditch, because if you don't, that powdery stuff, when it gets sticky, that rain will wash right into your culvert and plug them up. And then you start washing roads. That's happened, the last time it did was like 07. Washed out a lot of road around.
Is there a motion to accept Jay's report, please?
make a motion to accept the report?
Second it.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No, I say aye, so the road foreman's report has been accepted, and thank you, Jay, for the work you're doing, and all the guys. Please let them know we're very appreciative. Okay, next item on the agenda is the administrative assistance report, and that is Lynette.
Tonight marks the deadline for our social service appropriation appointments. Of the 34 letters that were sent out to those that had previously received town appropriations, I have not heard from 4 people. Tuesday morning, I have a scheduled meeting with Sheriff Anderson and representatives from Putney, Dummerston, and Westminster. This is to follow up on our informational meeting on December 2nd, regarding Windham County Sheriff Department implementing a regional animal control officer to service those towns currently without an animal control officer. I will be taking Wednesday, the 23rd, and Thursday, the 24th off as vacation days. And as a reminder for those committee members that have not sent me your reports, please do so as soon as possible.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, we do have a deadline. I had to ask Wynetta permission if I could have a few more days, so I'm a little late also. But what's the last day you want the reports in?
As soon as possible. I have to send.
You're overdue.
I have to send the draft to the printers no later than January 31st.
Okay. Ken, do you hear that? Ken?
Ken? No.
Is he you?
So as soon as possible, no later than January 1st.
That's for all of us who are on different committees. We have to send in an annual report for Wynetta to print in the annual town report. So thank you, Wynetta.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Motion to accept Wynetta's report, please.
I'll make a motion and accept it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay.
I just noticed Ken's in the Bahamas.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing what happens up here on Newfane Hill. It's just amazing.
Yes.
Come on up and visit sometime.
Okay.
We'll be there, believe me. Okay, all those in favor of accepting administrative assistance report, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, report is accepted, and we're moving on to the next item of the agenda, and that is a committee report. And the committee is the Planning Commission. So there are two issues. One is short-term rental with Airbnbs, and the second is about broadband. So Ken, are you the person who will be speaking about this?
Actually, a number of us will be. And so thank you for the chance to be on the agenda. And I think best that we might start with the broadband, and then we can move into the short-term rental. Is that okay to do that?
Is there a way it could be louder?
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time hearing. Just a minute, Ken, please. We want to raise the volume.
I'll speak up as well.
Volume 98.
Oh, much better, much better. Thank you. Okay.
If we might start with the broadband, that would be a good start. And then we'll work into short-term rentals.
Unetta, can you put it up higher?
We're just having a problem with the volume still. Can you increase your volume, Ken?
Can you move closer to your printer or to your computer?
I can speak. I'll speak up, certainly. But I'm as loud as I can be.
Okay.
Okay, so if we might start with the broadband.
Perfect. Go for it.
Okay, Jane Douglas, our newest Planning Commission member. So Jane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I attended the monthly DV CUD meeting a couple of weeks ago. We are officially a member. We are the 20th town to join, so they were quite happy about that one. Now I need to come up with a list of sites to put in optical fiber hub somewhere in the town of Newfane. I've talked to Jay. I've got to try to talk to the Windham County Sheriff to come up with 2 or 3 possible sites that are not in a floodplain near electricity. So that's where we're at.
Great. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was very quick. Thank you.
Yeah, and the Planning Commission certainly thanks the Select Board for the approval to go forward with this. So that's a huge step forward for all of us. So moving to short-term rentals. So I'll do the introduction, and then Lynn will talk particularly to short-term rentals. So we want to discuss this in terms of the town plan, because as you know, the town plan is a frame of reference for all of us to guide the town to meet its needs and objectives. And so everything that we do in the Planning Commission, is guided by that town plan. And I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it recently, but the introduction to the town plan is well worth your reading, again, because it's a tremendous statement of the balancing act that the town has to try to achieve between the change and growth that's inevitable and often desirable. And that's a quote: the change and growth that's inevitable and often desirable, at the same time enhancing the essence of our town, and recognizing the values and the character of our town. And so that balancing act is really what's guiding our work at the Planning Commission, and in particular with the short-term rental matter. The story is that in the town plan, there are 2 planning goals that I think are particularly relevant to our discussion. The planning goal number 2 on pages 2 and 3 of the town plan, the planning goal number 2 is to encourage a strong and diverse economy. And planning goal number 9 is to maintain and enhance recreational opportunities and for residents and visitors. And so those two planning goals, we feel, are really very much in keeping with the need and of property owners to be able to rent their properties. That's something that we very much value, and property owners do too. They have the property and they often, want to and very much need to rent those properties. So everything is meshing and matching very nicely. At the same time, the balancing act, also calls for, preserving or better enhancing the essence of our town and respecting its values and its character. And so the things that attracted us to be here in Newfane or keep us here in Newfane are, the values of, our social character, our rural character, and, looking for, to keep the town vibrant economically at the same time, recognizing its rural character. So the town plan doesn't speak specifically to short-term rentals. However, it does speak generally to any kind of economic activity that might be envisioned. And so tonight, what we wanted to do is just put the short-term rental, officially on the agenda, because short-term rentals are, relatively speaking, new. They aren't mentioned in the town plan, nor are they mentioned in the bylaws. But more than that, I should not venture, because Lynn is here with us, and Lynn is going to now take it away and talk specifically about short-term rentals.
Short-term rentals.
No, I can't understand everything.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ken. Are you going to continue, or did you say somebody else will be speaking now?
Lynn is.
Lynn.
Right,
Oh,
Lynn is
Lynn.
on mute. Yeah, Lynn is going to speak now, and she's on mute.
Okay. Hi, Lynn.
I'm not unmuted.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, you look great, Lynn.
I love your hair.
Happy holidays to everyone.
Happy holidays to you.
This issue, okay, the short-term rentals has been an issue of concern all across the country. It's been a concern by the people who need or want to rent their properties, and it's a concern of communities at the same time. It came to a head for us last year when a number of people applied for permits. Excuse me. The DRB realized that none of them fit into the zoning bylaw. So rather than coming up with a variance or saying no to everyone, they asked the planning commission to work on what would be appropriate bylaws for Newfane for short-term rentals. We had a great audience, a couple meetings, people from the community came and spoke and gave us some insight of what their views are. And we took those into account in writing the bylaws. I think our main concern is to balance, as Ken said, to balance what the property owners want and need, and against the desire of the residents who want to preserve their communities in the way it feels. The other things that the Planning Commission is definitely concerned about, and the state of Vermont as well, is to ensure the safety of the occupants of the short-term rentals and the well-being of the community. And it's important to promote the public health, safety, and welfare of the town. So I'm going to spare you. I am not going to read all 8 pages of the bylaw. You can say thank you now. But I will be sending copies through Winetta to the town office, and she can therefore distribute to the select board. And if you can't sleep at night, you can read this, and that'll set you off at night. But a lot of what is in the bylaw are definitions to make it clear of what we're talking about. And then a procedure where someone would apply. At the time they applied, we would say, here's a form, you need to do a checklist, and you need to have these certain things, like you need to have fire extinguishers and you need to have smoke alarms. And these are recommended by the state of Vermont. We had their forms to go by. The owner would also have to show that they had a meals and rooms account with the state of Vermont. And so it's really pretty straightforward, and it's not painful. I think that's the thing. There's no sense to penalize people who are going to do this. I don't know about you, but I have stayed at Airbnbs and other platform rentals many times in different places in this country and over in Canada, and I just think it's joyful. The other issue is that there are companies, or there are people who have real B&Bs, and they're concerned that this is not a level playing field. They have quite a few regulations that have to be followed. And so we'll be giving the guidance that these are the things you need to do as put out by the state of Vermont to make your rental safe, and to not quite level the playing field, because the entities are different, but it will give the DRB the guidance that they need to be able to either allow a permit or decline a permit. So I think that's pretty much it. I'm having a real difficult time hearing anybody from the office. So I'll ask if you have questions, but I'm going to tell you I'm going to have a hard time hearing the chair and people that are actually in the town office.
Lynn, can I ask you, what is your definition, or the state's definition, of short-term rentals?
Okay. A short-term rental. A furnished house, condominium, or other dwelling or self-contained dwelling unit rented to the transient, traveling, or vacationing public for a period of fewer than 30 consecutive days and for more than 14 days per calendar year. And that is per Vermont Act 179.
So it's basically between 14 and 30 days is considered a short-term rental?
I'm sorry, I cannot understand what you're saying.
Is the law so that it is between 14 and 30 days of use of the building, of the property? Can you hear that?
When it was rented.
Per rental?
Yeah.
Per rental, Lynn?
I just quoted the state of Vermont. Per unit, you mean? So if you had 3 vacation units, it would apply to each one.
I'm talking about the use of a property. Say it's a house, and they rent the entire house. They have to rent between 14 and 30 days, and they become a short-term rental property.
Once it's more than 30 days, it's not considered short-term anymore.
30 days in a year, a calendar year, or one
I think it's
one guest.
30 consecutive days.
30 consecutive days by one group of people who are renting the property.
Right, so that would be less than, so that would be basically 4 weeks.
So part-time, it's like a part-time situation.
I think it's a big difference between what we're talking about, the short term and all that stuff, compared to Airbnb. A lot of them guys only rent for the weekend and they're gone. you know, it's so what do they call that? If it's under the 14, that's a short term.
Right.
Yeah.
As I say, it's a whole different ballgame, I believe, you know.
That sounds different than like just a over the weekend type of rental.
I don't know what you're saying. I'm sorry. It's different than what?
It seems different than just like over a weekend for like 3 days. Like they have to stay, a guest has to stay for what?
Minimum 14.
14 days, that's 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's altogether different because, you know, a lot of people want to rent for the weekend or they rent for a week.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I'd say that's more like a damn motel where you go and spend a night or two and then you go on your way or something, you know. I mean, I think that Airbnb is a whole different ballgame compared to what we're talking with the state with short-term rentals and all the guidelines that you got to put them through, you know. It's like a bed and breakfast maybe. I don't know what the bed and breakfast is. Do they have a quote for a bed and breakfast?
Yeah.
Because usually them are just there for the night or something, you know.
Okay.
I'm not against this stuff at all means. I mean, if people want to rent their house to do something like that, I think they should be allowed to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I think Lynn wanted to make a point, then I'll jump in. Go ahead, Lynn.
I don't know whether I picked something up from the wrong thing but I know that this is supposed to be for short-term rentals less than 30 consecutive days. And it would apply to weekends and it would apply to 4 or 5 days in a week. So before I send this document out, thank you for finding that for me. I will correct the document because it is specifically meant to apply to the weekend rentals and the anything less than 30 days.
Right. And so the other point is that, you know, Mike, you rightfully referred to Airbnb, but in our thinking, that's just one of any number of platforms by which to access short-term rental.
Right.
Right.
I have another question, Ken.
Go ahead.
No, my brain stopped. I'll have to remember. 1 minute. What was it? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I totally forgot.
Well, I guess the point is that we, as a town select board, I think we're all in agreement that we want short-term rentals to happen in town. And also we want them to be in a place that is protected with, you know, fire extinguishers, you know, that they're safe, you know, so that there isn't, you know, accidents or fires or whatever that would, you know, it's same controls as a regular business, even though they may only do it, you know, maybe 6 weeks out of the year. But I know a lot of people who buy properties and that's all they do in that property is Airbnb. Yeah. They don't even go there themselves.
That's what I wanted to ask. My understanding at one time in the past few months, somebody mentioned that with an Airbnb, the owner is supposed to be staying at the property, staying there while. And if they're not staying there, it's not considered Airbnb. Can you clarify that? Because I don't know the answer.
I can clarify that, and that is not correct.
It's not correct.
That is not correct. It's really amazing. Every town and many cities have different requirements. And there are some towns that require or only allow a short-term rental if the person lives in the property. But that is not a requirement for Airbnb or VRBO or any of the other, they call them platforms. And what they mean by that is you go onto that website and you book from there. But that's not a requirement of anything. And it's not a requirement that we have in the bylaw.
Okay, thank you.
Is it a requirement by the state of Vermont? No?
No, the state of Vermont doesn't have any requirement at all. They just have a definition. No, they do have they have a requirement that if you are not with a platform that collects the meals and rooms tax, then you have to apply for a business license and a meals and rooms tax license. But that's the only requirement that they have.
I remember that last year, some people who wanted to run an Airbnb went to the DRB committee and had to apply for a permit. Is that correct?
That's correct. And what we found was that every one of them had a different situation.
Yeah.
And they, because the planning commission members we went to the hearing, and we found that the DRB was at a loss because they kept trying to accommodate and fit in the situation of the owner into the current bylaws that really didn't apply. And that's why they came to the planning commission and asked us to work on this and give them some real clear information.
Well, I mean, I came here in Vermont to open a bed and breakfast in Brattleboro, and it was back in the 90s. And, you know, the concept of not being in your property was so foreign. But today, there's a lot of people who purchase these properties and, you know, are not living in the property. Now, there's quality ones and then there's, you know, less quality ones. But I think for the state, for our concern, for the board, is that they should meet the qualifications of having safety issues, you know, any building issues, concerns that are monitored or somehow they have to be inspected in some format. I think that's one of our concerns. And that, you know, if there's a parking issue, I mean, sometimes you could have multiple cars in a small one-car parking area, and they're blocking these tiny little roads in the back roads. And those are our concerns. So I guess, how do we remedy those kind of concerns, that we are not having a house full of people that are in a dangerous situation and potentially blocking our roads?
Right, I hear what you're saying, and we did try to address a number of those issues in the bylaw, outside of making it clear that, well, first of all, every one of these is a conditional use in the districts. So no owner would come in and say, I want to do this, and Merrill would walk out and they'd walk out with a permit. Every one of these would have to be reviewed by the DRB. Okay. And in some cases, they would need to have a site visit. Probably every case, they would have to have a site visit. And at that point, the number of cars, the number of bedrooms, the number of visitors being able to stay there would be, if it wasn't specifically spoken to in the bylaw, it would be a condition that the DRB placed on the owner. The other thing that I think was really important, and to speak to the situation where somebody buys a property, but then they're renting it, they don't live there. It would be an absolute requirement to have a contact person who was within 45 minutes physically able to get to that property in case there was a problem. And that the name of that person and that contact information has to be posted on every side of the rental, so that anybody who walks by and sees there's a problem knows who to contact and how to get a hold of them. So we're trying to address those issues before something happens.
Right.
But I'll be really happy if you all can go through this and give us your feedback on things that you think we've left out or might be a little too stringent. And like I said, we'll be sharing that with a few people in town to look at and give their opinion, people who've already expressed interest. And, we'll be able to move forward. We considered doing it, recommending it, that it be an ordinance separate from the bylaws. And after discussion, decided that, or agreed that it was probably the best way to have it as a bylaw as opposed to the ordinance. However, if the select board strongly felt that it should be an ordinance instead, that's great. But what it does is it puts it plainly on your table and your desk to finish writing and enforcing it.
I'm not sure what she said.
Then if it was gonna be an ordinance, it would be up to the select board to create the ordinance.
Yeah,
Well, I think I'd keep it as simple as we can.
right.
I think we want to keep it as simple as we can.
Okay, so I'll be sending this out, and one of the other things that you'll see in the document, it refers to a good neighbor brochure, and so we've developed a draft or a good neighbor brochure that everybody who rents would get one of these. They'd also get the other documents. They would get the bylaw, would be at the place of rental. They would get the ordinances. They would get the rules. So there would be no question about whether the person who's renting the space knew what they were supposed to do or not. So anyway, you'll be getting the brochure that I worked on this afternoon and put together.
So we have, I'm sure there's people in town doing this right now. We have had no issues, correct?
I'm sorry, there's some people in town that are already doing this, and
there have been no issues? No issues with the Airbnb?
Are you saying they're having issues?
No. Having no issues.
She's saying that so far, people who've been renting their homes with Airbnb have not had any problems or bad issues to deal with.
Thank you. Good.
Yeah. So far, we haven't heard of any issues. However, I think the biggest prompt, of course, was the being approached by the DRB and seeing that there was no recognition at all. There's no recognition anywhere in the town that short-term rentals even exist. So that's the gap that we're trying to fill. And at the same time, looking for, some measure of accountability, mutual accountability between the town and the property owners and the renters. So that structure of accountability and responsibility to each other is something that we're also trying to plan for and be mindful of.
I think that it would be good for the town of Newfane to create a pamphlet or some.
They have one, Good Neighbor.
What?
They're talking about a pamphlet, like a Good Neighbor pamphlet.
Well, for Newfane.
Yeah, for Newfane.
Yeah. So that anybody who wants to rent up here or Airbnb property owners can hand that out by email or however, that they know what the town of Newfane expects. And I actually have read, several articles throughout the last year or two about other towns doing the same thing. And one town can be very different than the other. Everybody has their own desires and requests. So if we could work with you and do that, as Mike said, we can keep it simple, but we need to be very straightforward with it. This is acceptable, this is not acceptable. something like that. You know.
Well, let's see how we'll see how that works with the current pamphlet, which speaks to a number of things. It speaks to parking and noise and pets and number of people that can rent a space. And at the same time is very welcoming and has great photographs about this wonderful place we live. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your insight and your feedback and look forward to hearing your comments.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn. Thank you,
all for your
Ken.
hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Who are we on to next?
so we are on to scheduled members of the public. And these, we have several people who are here to request appropriations for their organizations. And Renetta, if you could handle this part of the meeting, I would appreciate it.
So from Valley Cares, we have Becka. Good evening, Becka.
Hi, this is Joanne Blanchard, the executive director, and Becca also. So I'll be doing the presentation for Valley Cares. Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Valley Cares is a nonprofit organization, and we're committed to providing quality and affordable housing and compassionate care for folks in the West River Valley. We provide affordable assisted living, supported living, and independent living here at West River Valley Senior Housing. We provide Meals on Wheels, in fact, 3,223 Meals on Wheels for the Newfane route. We also provide support and services at home, which is a SASH program. And we have 10 Newfane residents that are currently participating in that program. In addition to that, we have our assisted living and our independent living. And we have 14 residents from Newfane that live in those different facilities. We also have free.
Joanne, I'm sorry to interrupt you. They're having trouble hearing you. Could you move closer to your mic? Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's her microphone. I'm thinking it has to do with the television at the town office because we can't hear you on this end very clearly. And I think it has to do with the town office setup because I can hear everybody on the Zoom perfectly clear. I can't hear you guys speaking very clear.
We got the AV guy here.
That's my perception of what's happening. I think it's on the town office end.
Yeah.
Because Joanne, you're very clear on the Zoom.
Yeah, we can hardly hear you on our end.
Okay.
So do you want me to try to continue and just talk louder?
That sounds better already.
Okay. You want me to start from the beginning?
No, you're all right.
Nope.
So we have the Meals on Wheels, 3,223 meals for Newfane route. Support and services at home or a SASH program. We have 10 Newfane residents that currently participate in that. And we have 14 residents that live among our assisted living and our independent living facilities. In addition, we offer a free durable medical equipment lending program here in the area. So we do provide quite a bit of service to the folks in the West River Valley, but also in the Newfane area. And we really need your support so we can remain a vital an important resource for this area.
I can learn to understand you much better if I can get.
Oh.
Thank you for everything that you all do for all the residents in all the towns. It's very important.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so move on to the next one.
I'm wondering if I could ask a question. Are you at this point accepting any new residents I know that we have a Newfane woman who's interested in becoming part of your family there, and she hasn't gotten any information. So is it with COVID-19, whatever kind of funding? Is there a Medicaid problem? Anyway, just questions that I've been asked recently.
Yes, I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, except for that we do have some open beds right now, and we have a wait list, and we are slowly working towards admitting a few new folks. Actually, some folks lined up for January and February. If somebody's interested in living here, have them fill out an online application. You can print it off, fill it out, send it in. You can call, ask for myself, Joanne, or you can ask for Jen. Jennifer is the property manager. Certainly, if somebody's interested, call, send us a message, send an email. We are taking the applications and reviewing them for appropriate placement.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much. We will let you know, we'll, at our budget meeting, we'll make decisions and we'll let you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming, and Winetta will be in touch with you again soon. Winetta,
So the next one is from Brattleboro Hospice. Hillary, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me to be here to represent Hospice. I hope you can hear me. We are still here, still delivering services. As I'm sure many organizations you've spoken to in the last few months, it has been challenging to say the least. Hospice, Brattleboro Area Hospice is completely volunteer services. We don't charge anything. We train our volunteers. Normally, it's very much one-on-one, and volunteers going into clients' homes, meeting with them in person. So we've been doing a lot of rethinking and being flexible and doing our best to continue getting our services out. We have three primary areas that you may know, but the first is hospice care. We work with oftentimes Becka and VNH, but we're just offering respite care. Since the pandemic, doing a lot of things like grocery shopping, picking up things from the pharmacy, doing people's laundry so clients can stay home and not expose themselves to the virus. We're also offering our bereavement program is the second leg of our programs. And Lars Hunter has moved his support groups online through Zoom and mostly phone support. But he is getting a good response and just started a second support group. We've been running a special support group for people who have not lost someone, but have family members in assisted living facilities or other nursing homes, because that's its own special kind of grief that people are feeling right now, that they can't see family members. So that's ongoing. It will wrap up in January. And we're still doing our advanced care program to help people in Windham County think about their end-of-life wishes, get them in writing, and get them registered with the state of Vermont. And we do have our program. Don Freeman, who runs that program, will meet with people in person outside. Even last week, he was out on the porch with someone who didn't feel comfortable coming inside. So we're doing what we can do to keep delivering our services throughout Windham County. And for Newfane, in the past year, we had 3 hospice care clients and 1 bereavement care client. And and then 9 Newfane residents, and also I believe Williamsville was included. They did their advanced directive through our ACP program. 4 Newfane residents are active volunteers. One person in particular has been delivering meals. We've been working with Nicole's Kitchen, and she is cooking meals twice a week for our hospice care clients if they wish to receive the meals. So we have volunteers, including someone from Newfane who is delivering those weekly, just to, again, help people limit their need to leave their house if they're not feeling safe doing that. And also, of course, to help financially, that the meals are free. And we have clients who are in serious financial straits, including facing eviction. And so anything that the community can do that we can be a part of to help get it out to people, whether it's in Brattleboro or in surrounding communities, we're committed to doing. So we appreciate the help from all of the surrounding towns, whatever amount they can give to help us keep delivering our services, and let us do it with no charge to the individuals.
Well, thank you for all the work you do. It's an incredible service that hospice provides to people. And
Thank you.
really amazing work that you do. And I think we all so appreciative and feel lucky that we have you as part of this.
Oh, thank you. I'll pass that on to our program heads. They're the ones doing the work in the trenches. So
Thank you.
okay, thank you. And happy holidays. Hard to believe it's here, but
Yes.
Yeah, happy holidays to you. Happy holidays.
From Leland and Gray Foundation, we have Stephen Meyer. Good evening.
Yes.
I just want to make sure you all can hear me. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I think we've increased the volume on our end quite a bit.
Okay, great. I'm just here to represent the Leland and Gray Educational Foundation, which really has nothing to do with Leland and Gray. We are a separate entity. We're a 501c3 organization. We have almost absolutely no overhead costs. We might spend some money on stamps for some fundraising, letter writing, but that's really it. All of the money that we have coming in goes to scholarships. Our mission is to provide scholarships to the Leland Gray students, and they are need-based primarily, but they're also academic-based, and each student needs to interview with our board in June, just before graduation. But primarily, it's a need-based scholarship. Our founder, Roland Gould, founded the organization in 1997, and he was a graduate of Leland Gray. I think the class of 1948, a year before my dad, and he really had it in his heart to help kids, and especially first generation college students. He really wanted to help kids from the Valley who needed a leg up. So each year we award one $4,000 scholarship that is dispersed $1,000 a year. And as long as the student stays in school and stays in good academic standing, they get the next $1,000 and onward for the next 4 years. Most years when we have a little extra money from fundraising, we award a $1,000 one-time scholarship named after Roland Gould himself. The other one's just for the foundation. I can't promise you that the scholarships will directly benefit residents of Newfane. It always depends on who's applying. We really have no control. Each year we have 2 to 10 applicants. I know this year a girl from South Wardsboro Road, one of my neighbors, just graduated from UMass, Jessie Stockwell, and she was one of our $4,000 scholarship recipients. She just graduated, in the last couple days. Farron Stark is in college right now. We're supporting her. I'm not sure who else currently is from Newfane that's in school. In the past, we've had Rachel Urado. I think she's from Williamsville, and Becky Mello. Last I knew, she was working at St. Michael's Elementary School in Brattleboro. And just broadly speaking, we've had someone graduate and is now up at Dartmouth as a cardiotherapist. We've had someone actually came back and taught at Newbrook Elementary School for a while. She may be down in Brattleboro now. She was one of the Compensellis. Shelby Nystrom. I don't know if I should be bringing up names, but it's all public knowledge because we awarded at graduation. Shelby was one of our recipients, and she's now a CPA, works in Chicago. But at the same time, she is the substitute teacher for someone up at Leland and Gray that is out on maternity leave for the whole semester. So we're seeing some things come back to our community. We're certainly trying our best to give the kids a helping hand. And I guess what it comes down to, I just would like us to think about what it was like when we graduated from high school, and just think about the challenges. I know I was blessed and had a supportive family that helped me through college. I had a parent who made me work, which was a good thing. And I think today kids are a little bit more challenged. Not everyone has the support that I had and that others may have had. And it's tough. And I think one of the best things we can let them know is, over and above, you hear people complaining about their taxes, and you hear people complaining about the cost of education and national and local politics. I'd like them to know there's a voice in there too that comes from their community, and it's a voice of support for you, the young people. I just would like to ask for your continued support, and thank you for the support that you have given us for the last few years. It's really, really a great help. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Stephen, for representing your foundation.
Yeah, it sounds great. Thank you so much for the information.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Renetta?
Vermont Independent Living. Is Lyndia there? Okay, so we're gonna get back to her. From the Gathering Place, we have Maggie Lewis.
Hi, Maggie.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you. Hi. I just want you guys to know that I'm actually in my daughter's room, so because that's where we have the best connectivity in the house. So I'm here representing the Gathering Place. I am the executive director, and Newfane has supported us over several years, which we are truly grateful for. And I'm appearing here today to share a little bit about the depth of work that we do and requesting appropriations greater than we have asked for in the past. One of the things that's very unique about the Adult Day that we have in Windham County, we have a location in Brattleboro and we have one in Westover. And what's interesting about Newfane is because of your location, participants can go to either one of those locations. If someone lives in Williamsville and is closer to Dover, they can attend the Dover location, or if they're closer to Brattleboro, they can attend the Brattleboro location. So it's great that there's an opportunity to cut down on travel time for some of our participants. As you may be aware, we offer services to adults 18 years and older. So adults with disabilities, whether they be developmental disabilities or physical disabilities, as well as to our elders. We're unique in the fact that we offer not only socialization, but we have medical oversight. We provide therapies in our locations, at both locations, and invite physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists in. We work with our physicians, the primary care physicians, and families to help support them either through physical needs of the participants, emotional needs of the caregiver. However we can help, we reach out. I think what's great is that in regard to Newfane is historically we provide about, let me see how many, it's over 3,000 hours of services. And unfortunately, or fortunately, it depends how you want to look at it, the state offers us $16.72 an hour to provide services to individuals. And like I've told you, we do everything from medical oversight, including wound care, medication administration, and coordinating those clinical services, as well as doing, you know, your arts, your crafts, your things of that nature. But there's a discrepancy of about $3.28 per hour for service. It costs us about $20 an hour to provide services to people. So in regard to Newfane, historically, 3,000 hours of services are provided. And in the appropriation application, you can see more detailed what those hours break down to. But that makes us short about $10,000 a year specifically for our participants from Newfane. So we have to fundraise for that $10,000 to help support those people from Newfane, and also provide scholarship for those who may be private pay and just can't afford the hourly rate. So what I'm asking is that, again, historically, you've been very generous in providing $400 a year to the gathering place. And that's been for a number of years, and we have not made a request for more. I'm asking at this time for the town to consider $1,000 for an appropriation because of that gap in payment that we currently have. I'm not basing this on COVID-19. I'm not basing it on this past year, which is, just kind of funky for everybody under COVID-19. But looking at the historical past, we do provide a significant amount of services to people from Newfane. So I hope the town will consider providing appropriation of $1,000. Does anyone have any questions?
No, just thank you for reporting this to us. I didn't realize that you service a lot of people in Newfane, and that's a wonderful representation that you serve us.
Thanks. Yeah, and it's interesting. Some of the people from Newfane, they attend Monday through Friday from the time we open till the time we close. Some people only come for a few days a week or whatever. But Newfane, we've got some great people that come from Newfane that come for all week. So
that's great to know. And thank you so much for taking care of our residents.
Yes, thank you so much, Maggie.
Oh, you're welcome. It's really my pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And Maggie, I'm just wondering, are they going into a facility all through this COVID-19? Have you been able to have your doors open?
No, the governor has not allowed us to open our doors. So what we have done is we've modified the services that we provide. So we're doing Adult Day Without Walls, where we do phone calls to people. We do porch visits. We do some home care for those that are in need of more support. We also are working towards, come January, hopefully having more group activities online.
Okay.
We're still coordinating care, sending activity packages, care packages to the caregivers, really trying to maintain that connection and support the individuals as well as their caregivers as much as possible in this kind of unique situation. And we don't get reimbursed for any of that. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah, so it's just based on, what we've been able to save up and do for people. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So we will be back in touch with you. Winetta will contact you. We still have another budget meeting to complete the appropriations, and so you'll talk to Winetta.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Have a very happy holiday and a new year filled with hope and health.
You too, Maggie. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Juanetta, she's not on the agenda, but Annie from Windham County Humane Society is here with us tonight.
Yes, I did get a phone call from her for the link, so, Annie, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Thank you for being patient.
Oh, you're welcome. So, yes, we're here and we're working harder than ever. We had started offering affordable veterinary care with a grant in 2011, and we've been building that program for a long time now. And when COVID hit, we totally pivoted to that. And our goal is to keep pets in the homes they have. And so we're providing, let's see, so far this year, we have provided 680 distemper shots and 670 rabies shots. And we've been ramping that up the last few months because a lot of the towns kind of waived licensing and rabies stuff, but now everybody's like, oh, maybe we should catch up on that. And we've also spayed and neutered 668 cats and 554 cats and 184 dogs and 10 rabbits. I had submitted the report for Newfane for the 2019-2020 year, and we did quite a bit of spay neuter for you guys, 26 cats and 9 dogs for Newfane residents, 25 distemper and 25 rabies vaccines for Newfane residents in that time span, providing food and other medications. We took in 7 cats and surrendered by Newfane residents. And so that, that is, it's hard to put a number on that because some cats come in spayed and neutered and ready to go, and others might come in with severe medical behavioral issues that we might have them for a week or a month before they can go up for adoption. And that's my quick and fast report, but I can answer any questions.
Yeah, I have a question. Just in general, can you explain how you, what the criteria are for accepting cats and dogs into your place?
You mean ones that get surrendered or ones that come for veterinary care?
No, surrendered. Lost and found, or lost and found.
Well, so the strays, we'll take any strays. For the owner surrenders, we don't really turn anybody away. However, if somebody wants to surrender, say, a dog that has a bite history, we will be very clear with those people that we don't adopt out dogs with a bite history. And so we'll tell them that if they're surrendering that dog to us, we will be euthanizing the dog. And then it's up to them to decide. And for some people, that is what they need. They know their dog is not safe in the community. And for other people, they'll decide to try to find a home on their own. Behavioral is the bigger issue, but most animals we can work with if they don't have a bite history. And then medically, we can help almost any animal, but obviously there are some people that they just can't make that hard decision. And so we try to guide them through that. But if it's a 14-year-old dog with cancer, then yeah, it might be time for us to provide humane euthanasia, which we also do through the vet care. So basically we'll take in any animal that needs our help, but we're clear with people if euthanasia is the likely outcome.
And what are the income guidelines, I suppose,
So when we started the vet care program, we had income guidelines, and we basically based them on the state guidelines for people that get help with childcare, et cetera. To be honest, in the pandemic, we have thrown out the guidelines because people cannot get into their vets. So we're taking everybody, and that's what we're doing now.
Thank you so much. That's amazing. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate the support of the town.
Thank you so much for the work you're doing. I love seeing the dogs being walked along Route 30 with your staff. They do
Yeah.
a really good job with them.
Well, we used to have a lot of volunteers, but we're not letting anyone in our building right now.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, everybody. Stay safe.
Yeah,
You
thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Some of you, my neighbors and friends. All right, have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
So we are now finished with appropriation requests.
Yeah.
So we're moving on to Gloria Cristelli and Newfane neighbors. Gloria, would you like to share with us what you would?
I certainly would. And we have Kate and Dan on the line who have been part of the organization. So some of you have heard about some of the things that we've been doing, and others of you might be less informed. So we basically have some speaking points here, and Dan and Kate can certainly jump in. But what is, and we're now talking about it being called West River Valley Mutual Aid because it's expanded more from the Newbrook neighbors that we started with. So basically, what are we? We are neighbors helping neighbors. We are working together to find ways to live well together, to support each other, and to support our community's well-being. And everyone is welcome to join. And as the name indicates, it's the West River Valley Mutual Aid because we have expanded beyond just the Newfane, New Brookline area. So how we started this spring, many neighbors were looking for ways to reach out and to help as the severity of the COVID-19 crisis became clear. We started to converge and brainstorm. We have reached out by mail, an email list, Facebook, and web pages, and a great network of neighbors. At present, we probably have over 200 names on a list that we are using to interact with people. Hey, Kate. And so why did we go in the direction of mutual aid and how does it work? The mutual aid model allows flexibility to include everyone, and the focus is on helping each other in our community. Projects, initiatives, and organizing are driven by the needs that we have flagged and seen that arise, and by the capacity, availability, and interests of the volunteers. It is not affiliated with or attached to any municipal entity, organization, or political group. This is so that we can be as inclusive as possible. And so far, we've accomplished a lot of things. Now, why is it called West River Valley Mutual Aid? And again, you'll always hear the Newbrook neighbors included. We found ourselves talking to immediate neighbors in Newfane, as one does, but our community is bigger than that. It includes a Newbrook School and Fire and Rescue. It also includes the Leland and Gray school community and organizations that serve the larger school community and the senior citizens, etc. We have active volunteers and participants from neighboring towns as far away as Londonderry. Now, projects that we are currently working with, there's definitely individual requests. That's where the Newbrook neighbors started out. It's opportunities to help and to seek help with errands like grocery runs and prescriptions, lend a hand with simple fix-it projects at home, call an isolated neighbor, and we will continue to share opportunities to get involved as they come up. The arm of our group used to be, and this is what I just said, Newfane, Newbrook neighbors. And the exciting part that's really coming up, and it's happening sort of now and tomorrow and Wednesday, and I thank Juanetta for getting it up on the website too, is that we've been working with the group called Everyone Eats, which has been funded by money through the CARES Act. And we created a pickup point on Route 30 for meals prepared by Brattleboro area restaurants. And we are developing, again, as I'm speaking, an Everyone Eats program specific to the West River Valley and working with Newfane restaurants. For example, Four Columns Inn will be providing meals this week. And we're trying to get Rickstown and others to do that. But it's really exciting. We probably have over 100 meals going out tomorrow. And that's been turned around in about 3 days. So we really are blessed with the work of Gerald, Julie and Cece, and the work with Brattleboro, Everyone Eats. We also have kind of walk talk buddies if people are isolated, and we're trying to always obey what's happening with rules and regulations with the state with COVID-19. But if somebody is lonely and wants a walk buddy, somebody will be paired with that person, go and walk socially distanced, as well as getting on the phone and talking to people. And there are some people who are just thrilled to be able to talk, and some people who really do need to talk, as they've recently lost loved ones, and they're just thrilled when we can get them with somebody. And we've also been working with you as a select board in terms of trying to make sure that this Zoom meeting is online, and appreciative that it is. We also are looking at, seeing if we can make sure that it gets on Front Porch Forum, and it's just a good way for people to be able to come online when we are home in front of our fires and enjoying the warmth of our homes. And we've worked too with the Newfane racist graffiti response, and we encouraged you as a select board to adopt, and you did, and it's now posted on the website, the response to the racist graffiti. And we also cleaned up the graffiti. We've organized the demonstration that was held on the Common against hate speech, and there remains much work to be done. And Dan, of course, is very involved in that, and he's now getting himself on vision so we can see him. Our next step is to help the town and larger community, if we can, and work toward diversity and inclusion training. And we hope that something might come of that. We've worked with organizers from other towns to ensure a coordinated response to hate speech in our communities, and we have successfully worked with local media for coverage of this issue, and phone, email, thanks to get involved from our state representatives, and we stand in readiness against future acts of hatred aimed at our community. In Jamaica, there was the racist graffiti response, and we worked with them, some members, and also organized a week of care packages to the biracial the Black Indigenous people of the community of color. And there were specific families that were targeted, and we got these care packages to them. We have been connecting and working with other groups. So I was happy particularly to listen to what's happening with the hospice and the gathering place. And we've worked with organizations like FoodWorks, Senior Solutions, which, as you know, you have appointed me as the representative. So things converge because of the different things that each one of us has been working with. We did Veggie Van Go, which I delivered like 10 boxes of food today. There's Meals on Wheels, Farmers to Families, food packages. We've worked with West River Valley Thrives, and Meg is part of the organizing with us. Newfane Congregational Church, the More Free Library, and the Stratton Foundation. And they're all providing essential help in our community, and we continue to work with them. And if it's an important piece, we provide the last mile delivery, logistics, networking, and getting the word out to people. So some projects, the school lunch this summer came as a result of people working quickly when the school lunch program ended at the end of the year, and I'm going to call us WRVMA, the West River Valley Mutual Aid members helped deliver lunches that were prepared by the Stratton Foundation to families in the school district. And we put up 2 stands, share the bounty produce stands we built and installed these produce stands in Newfane Village and South Newfane, where neighbors could leave and pick up things that they wanted. It wasn't restricted to just people who absolutely were destitute, let's put it that way. And I'd like to see a stand get built for Williamsville, but we'd need to talk about getting it placed at the Williamsville Hall. And
It sounds like, Gloria, it's been like you've been doing a lot of stuff. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And just a last piece that we want to do is to get the word out publicly, and so I'm wondering if we can put a small blurb on the webpage for you and include our new website, which gives all sorts of good information and contact information. So if you've got any questions, yeah, things happen as needs pop up.
What is the website?
Kate, do you have the specifics on that? Before the end of the meeting, I will have
Hi
gone.
there, sorry.
Kate,
Can you hear me? I'm having trouble with the
yes,
video.
we can hear you.
It's West River Valley Mutual Aid .wordpress.com.
Is it all spelled out like that?
It is. We can follow up with, perhaps we can follow up and send the link.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
And that also would give you give people access to the sign-up sheets for the Everyone Eats and opportunities to volunteer.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
And so far we haven't asked for funding because we don't have a specific budget made up, and we're incurring some expenses, but we'll kind of work with that and get to you later on funding.
Gloria?
Yes, we want to do that.
Gloria, your group is expanding a lot, and it seems like you have many different topics and goals to fulfill in your group. And I'm wondering if in your work with other people, perhaps you can put together some informational reading for people that we could either get from you or you can put online, because just to listen to this is almost overwhelming because you're doing so much in so many different areas. But if we had something that we could refer to, hard copy, yeah, that would be really great.
They have a website now.
Yeah. But even so, maybe we could have some.
Or a pamphlet.
Like a brochure or pamphlet that eventually we could have here in town hall, where we could just hand out something.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, and one other thing, I'm wondering, can we just write up a small blurb for the town report
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, if you're going to do that, Juanetta has a deadline. Juanetta, you want to tell the deadline?
As soon as possible.
By next week, Gloria.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, that's great. Very good. I was thinking I was going to ask you that, and that's a great offer of yours. Okay. Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and thanks, Kate. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay, unscheduled members of the public, we don't have that. So we're going to old business town meeting, March 2nd, Australian ballot, and then animal control. Is that correct?
Okay, what do we have on the meeting?
You folks were going to make a decision as to whether or not you were doing Australian ballot and let the public know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I make a recommendation that we do Australian ballot vote,
Yes.
because of COVID.
Okay.
And it's recommended, and we've got the recommendation from our, moderator.
Debbie Luskin.
Yeah, Deb Luskin.
Second it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that will be for March 2nd.
March 2nd, town meeting.
Marion, Dan DeWalt would like to speak on this.
Unmute.
Are you speaking on Australian ballot?
Yes.
Okay.
Two things. I'm wondering if the deadline, I'm not sure what your time crunch is, but I'm wondering if you would be willing to postpone for one meeting in order to see if there's a certain number of people in town are trying to think of ways that we might be able to be successful on Zoom, just because of the very legislative nature. The very legislative nature of our regular town meeting can't happen on Australian ballot. It just becomes a thing of voting. So that's one question. If you folks would be willing to wait for one meeting.
And it's unprecedented. And we're making that
Dan,
decision.
that has been discussed on Selectboard already. And with the information that Deb Luskin has given us, it seems that it's the most valuable thing for us to do is Australian ballot, not to be on Zoom. So that has already been discussed at length.
Well, okay. I was hoping to add to the discussion, but I guess you don't want me to, but that's okay. So what I would like to then move on to is in Brookline, when they decided to have, they also chose to have an Australian ballot. But in doing so, they realized that they had a bit of a conundrum with the social services that were asking for money and trying to figure out the way to do it. And what they decided is that they would put on the town report, or not the report, I'm sorry, on the Australian ballot. Currently, right now, you folks put all the appropriations into one article, and we vote on that article, yes or no, and it has everything budgeted as the select board has suggested it. What the Brookline board decided to do was to split all those requests into individual, they used to be individual articles in the town meeting itself. And so they are putting those into individual votes on the Australian ballot. So there'll be different ballot, initiatives. So for each one of those requests from different organizations, they're putting it on the ballot. And they decided that rather than typically a select board sort of goes through and they make suggestions on what they think would be the appropriate number, and then they submit that to the town, and the town debates it, and they can add or subtract, and they make the decision. Since that won't be a possibility on the Australian ballot, where there's no back and forth, the Brookline Select Board decided to present each request as its own ballot and in the amount that was originally requested. Because what their reasoning was that it's not a decision of the board, it's a decision of the town. So therefore, the town should get the chance to weigh in on each request from each individual organization.
Dan, we have had budget meetings every other week now for a few months, and budget meetings are open to the public, and they have been on Zoom. So anytime somebody wants to join in as a member of the public, you could be here with us, because we certainly take a good amount of time in going over each appropriation request. That's why we had it on Zoom this year, where we felt, and the select board members felt, that it would be very informational for people about each and every group who was requesting appropriations, and then we take it seriously. You can see we don't say yes or no immediately. We have to look at the budget. We have to want to make sure we're fair with everybody. So you would be welcome to sit in on our budget meetings via Zoom, but we've been working on that all along.
Yeah,
Right.
and
I
based on
understand that, and I appreciate it.
Yeah,
fully,
based
but-
on the unprecedented COVID situation and the fact that a lot of people are without work, we're trying to be very fiscally responsible with the budget and our appropriations. So
this is actually not a discussion about our preferences. This is actually a discussion about the process of town meeting and the process of how the select board makes recommendations to the town. The town actually debates those recommendations, and the town is a legislative body that votes that recommendation.
Right.
Since that cannot happen this year, since you folks have already made this decision about Australian ballot, then I'm asking you to consider what the Newbrook board has considered under the exact same circumstances as we're facing in Newfane, and that is ultimately, as great as it is for the board to weigh in on things and make suggestions to the town meeting, as you folks know, ultimately is the town meeting that makes that decision. So
Right.
can I please finish? May I please finish what I'm saying? Thank you. So what the I keep saying Newbrook, what the Brookline board decided was, since it's not ultimately the decision of the board to make the call on whether we vote for that or not, they split those appropriations up into individual votes so the townspeople could vote on them, and they put on those individual votes the amount that was asked for. So if someone asks for a certain amount of money, everyone in the town has a chance to say yes or no on that request. As simple as that. And that at least honors the legislative power of town meeting by not consolidating everything into one slightly altered, number that has been changed by the board's ideas about it, which I appreciate the board's ideas. In a normal year, we take those things into consideration and we decide them. But ultimately, it is the job of town meeting members to make those decisions. And if the Brookline board saw fit to split those up into individual votes with the individual original requests, I am asking why Newfane couldn't do the same as Brookline. So this has nothing to do with who came or didn't come to the budget meetings or what's a good idea or not.
Dan, you're repeating yourself.
Yes, you're repeating yourself.
You're repeating yourself, and we understand what you're saying, that Brookline has done it one way, and each town is different.
So I'm asking you to not take away our chance to weigh in as town meeting members on the appropriations, which has been the time-honored standard forever. And even when those numbers get consolidated, we have still always had that opportunity to weigh in. That opportunity will be lost to us if we have an Australian ballot, but it will not be lost to us if we divide those appropriations into individual votes. So if you cannot trust the town's people to make those votes, and you feel that you need to make that decision instead, I would say that is not quite the way it's supposed to work.
Please say something, right?
For one thing, Dan, I think it's a night or two before the meeting. I believe we're holding an informational meeting.
We're having an informational meeting
to go over all this kind of stuff like this. So I would think anybody that's following this, and they'll have all these appropriations broke down by then. They could go down through that list just like you would at town meeting on your town report. Right. And they could go back to us at night and give us any things that they really wanted to change at that point.
I know it, but that ultimately is saying it's all up to you folks to make those
No.
No, I mean, if they got a chance, they want to
According
add or.
to the law, and
No.
according to tradition, it's actually the town meeting members.
Right.
So,
Unfortunately,
it's not
we're
like,
in a
I'm not making any
pandemic.
accusations about the board, but I'm just saying that
Dan,
as far as process
Dan,
goes, you're
we
taking
are in a
those which belongs to
pandemic.
people and you're putting it in your hands.
Okay, Dan, we are in a pandemic and we have heard what you've said. And what we're going to do is offer an informational meeting. So if at that point, if someone has, and will have made a decision on the appropriations, and then you can have any feedback at that informational meeting. But because of COVID, okay, it's different.
How does COVID stop us from having individual requests on an Australian ballot?
How many requests is there?
Dan, we just,
There'll
we
be
told
34
you.
if we had all of our appointments met. So if we did an article for each appropriation right now, there would be 30 just in social appropriations.
Yeah, it'd be a long list.
Well,
it's true. But that's, I mean.
We've only heard from you, Dan.
This is actual democracy. And
I know, democracy sometimes has to be a little modified at times, and we're modifying it. And there's, this is the way we're gonna do it this year.
The reason that we had, and can I make a comment? I mean, the whole reason that we had the appointments was to refresh the board and the public about the services that are received.
Yeah.
And how that affects the residents in Newfane.
I know that. Why did? And those are all true things. But the thing you folks seem to be forgetting about is that ultimately it is not the board's decision, but the town's decision. And this way of doing it by lumping it all together actually means it is the board's decision. And even though we can weigh in and say we like it or we don't like it, all we can do is say yes or no on the whole lump sum. So you've taken away our actual legislative control for the sake of a virus and the sake of saving a few pages of ballot paper.
Okay, the next opportunity is the informational meeting, and then we can hear any feedback from other people in the community who are want to increase or decrease the appropriations that we have reviewed. And they've all been on public information on TV. So, and people can.
I understand that.
Okay.
You've taken the power into your own hands.
We appreciate your time for informing us
at this number, and we do not have, and you have decreased our power.
Isn't
by
this been like
lumping
this the
them all
last 2
together.
years?
So I'm just saying that's
They weren't all listed
not
last year.
exactly the way the democracy of the town
They had a lump
works.
sum
So we're
for that.
sacrificing a chunk of our democracy for this year.
He's talking about like
saving paper.
he has to constantly talk.
That's it.
And he wants to be able to have a democracy, you know.
I think there's a misconception that he's assuming that the appropriations that were cut last year is going to be happening again this year.
No, it's not. It's not about the actual. Believe me, this is not about anybody's particular numbers. This is about the concept of what town meeting stands for.
I understand.
And I understand it's COVID, and I understand it's a tough situation, and you guys don't want to zoom it. And I'm not hassling you or arguing with that.
Yeah, well, at this point, we feel like you are.
But this is not about the numbers. This is about the concept of how can we give as much democracy to the people in the town as we can with our town meeting.
Well,
and
we're providing it.
I just happened to meet a select board member from Brookline who told me how they did it. And it doesn't seem like it's that fantastic to imagine that Newfane could do the same thing as Brookline.
Well, we
so
have
I think you folks are thinking that I have some terrible agenda here, or I think you have an agenda, and I don't think any of those things. I am just pointing out that I think that there's actually a kind of a serious breach.
Okay, well, we'll take it under consideration. There's not a serious breach, Dan. We'll take it under consideration. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can you tell me when this meeting is going to be? Is that just before town meeting, or is it going to be before you put your budget finally together for the special appropriations?
All of the budget meetings are on Zoom, so they can.
That's what I'm asking.
The special meeting is just before town meeting.
An informational meeting.
Meeting. When does that occur?
Within 10 days of town meeting.
But by that point, your warning, your article, your town report is already in the works, and the ballots will have been sent out if you're going by Australian ballot. And essentially, there would be nothing that we could do to change that.
That's pretty much what Deb Luskin had explained to us. So it's the best that we can do.
You can change it. I mean, you vote it down.
You can't change the
You
ballot.
vote appreciation. You
So
vote
we
that
vote
down.
down all appropriations.
Well, I mean, because the last couple of years, it's been one tally at the bottom. I mean, the only thing that people did, they went through the report and you check out to see what people want. And then they brought it up at town meeting. So what I'm saying is, by the time we have our informational meeting, you guys should have your reports. You should be able to go through it.
Right.
If there's something on there you think should be increased or decreased or whatever, you bring it up at that informational meeting. And then we'll have it, I
It's
think.
already been printed.
But the ballots have been printed and they've been mailed out.
What?
I mean, your ballots will have gone out
What
to
ballots?
the vote.
No. Ballots go out on town meeting day.
Right, but they're all printed. Like she's saying, they're all printed.
What do you mean? If I'm going to be voting by absentee ballot, they're going to be mailed town meeting day?
I don't know, but you have to.
No.
Of course not. They're always, any absentee ballot is sent out 20 days before, you've got at least 20 days prior to the voting. So you better check with your town clerk.
Well, I was going to say we can check with Carol on
Sure.
the
You absolutely have to send those out. They have to be ready
Well, we
according
know that.
to any.
Those processes are in play right now. But this is why we've held the appropriation section virtually, so that we can have feedback and, understand how people feel about the different appropriations.
But all of your budget meetings where you have determined what amount each group is going to get, those have been already discussed?
No, the final decision has not been made.
And so are we able to attend that meeting?
You can attend all the budget meetings. It's on Zoom right now. Yep, you sure can.
This is all well and good that we can attend the meetings and we can weigh in, because of course we can. That's the whole point of meetings.
That's
But the point that we're not getting is it's ultimately up to you folks. We can weigh in all we want. You will make a decision, and the voters will not actually get a chance to break down those votes into different things because you will be
Hopefully next year we won't be in this situation. So we'll have to have a little grace in this.
Well, that's why I'm not asking about Zoom.
A little
I
grace.
think there's a
Okay, grace.
We're facing, well, never mind.
Grace.
Can Kate ask something?
Kate has a question.
Thank you. Following this conversation, are town voters being made aware that if they want to vote on budget items, they need to come to these meetings? I think there's I know that Deb Luskin has suggested Australian ballot in part to protect the access and democracy and sort of the franchise for all town voters. And I think that it's incumbent on the select board or committee members to make it clear to all residents that if they want to have input on the budget items, they need to show up at these other meetings.
Excuse me, Kate, we're at the end of December. These meetings going to be towards the end of February. We have been working on this on a weekly basis. So we are not ready right this second to give you the exact date, but we have 2 more months to work on this. And then people will know in
I don't get
advance.
the question. I don't know how hard you're all working. I just wanted to flag that for voters who want to weigh in on the budget. I hope it can be made clear to people that if they want to have input, they need to come to these budget meetings.
Well,
I think lots of people may not realize until it's too late. That's all.
That's part of being a member of the community, is knowing that you have a right to attend any of our board meetings.
And don't.
What?
I'm sorry, can I?
As an adult, we have an educated group of people that live in our community, and everybody should know that you are welcome to this public event. Every time we meet at least twice a month, and then during budget, we're meeting here every week. Every week. So it's not a surprise. It's a public event. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Other than COVID has brought in the fact that we cannot meet in a group.
Speak? I was just recognized to speak by Angela.
Yeah. Let's hear what he has to say, please.
Thank you. When I was on the board for 3 years, I don't know if anyone ever showed up to a budget meeting. Maybe somebody did once or twice. And you know what? That's why they elect a board. That's our job. You do the budget. Then you go to town meeting and people say, oh man, you guys did a lousy job. And you say, man, we worked hard on that. They said, well, we want to change it. And they have the right and they change it, or however it works. That's how it works. This particular year, if we had known that we wouldn't have a chance to weigh in and we lost our vote and we lost our actual voice and our actual democratic power at our coming town meeting, then that would generate a different interest in your budget meetings earlier. For sure, from this moment going out, if people understand that they will not have a vote on these individual items and we will have lost a certain amount of our power, they will be more interested in coming to your budget meetings. But I think it's a little unfair to talk about, well, we've had these meetings and people don't come. That's just the way it always has worked and probably always will, because citizens don't come to budget meetings all the time. But you can't have budget meetings and one.
We've only found about this new ruling in the last 2 weeks. Okay? We had to make a decision. And that's because the governor has made a ruling. So we had to make a decision to hold it the way that we are holding it. We cannot hold it in the group setting like we normally do.
We're not talking about that. We're not talking. I don't know what you're talking about, that Shelley. All we're talking about is the articles turning into votes on the Australian ballot.
Right. So
and
we have to make a decision
for not coming to budget meetings. And I am saying that if you have budget meetings under the pretext that there will be a town meeting where we normally can operate, and then that town meeting gets taken away from us and the budget meetings are mostly over, you can't criticize people for not coming to those budget meetings. If the board gets the word out now, as Kate suggested, and lets the town know that, hey, it's a different situation, so if you want to weigh in on appropriations, please come to our budget meetings, because we're going to have 3 or 4 more before we make our final decision. That would be really helpful, and I think you would find that people would show up. Because normally we can do that legislating on town meeting day, and it's kind of, select boards never love it, but that's the way it is. But that's not the way it is this year.
Dan,
we need to advertise that.
Dan, why don't you know what? VLCT, Vermont League of Towns, of Cities and Towns, they have a brochure about the town meeting. You can call them and ask for it, or probably go online and read it. It says town meeting, Vermont League of Cities and Towns, published. And there's a 2-page article about how, or 3 pages about how the town meetings are going to be held this year. So I'm sure you can see it online.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Let's move on. What else do we have next? Old business?
Yeah. Well, so.
Animal control?
Excuse me, but there was a motion to vote and it was seconded, so we need to finish that.
What is the motion? Can we repeat it, please?
The motion was made by Shelley to have it done by Australian ballot, and Mike seconded.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
So it was, we need to have a vote as to whether or not we're doing Australian ballot this year.
Agreement. Yeah. Aye. Okay. All those in favor of Australian ballot this year for town meeting, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? No. Okay. The ayes have it, and we're meeting by Australian ballot.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Do we need to do this fostering dogs?
No, we can table that if you'd like.
Yeah. Okay.
The next item was
Executive
animal control.
session.
Until after the Zoom meeting with Mark Anderson tomorrow. I mean, I just don't want it to be thought that we're not concerned about animal control in Newfane, and I wanted to.
So I think that we're up to executive session.
I do think with the animal control issue, I think we should just say on the record that we are addressing it and it's being taken care of. Weren't we just talking about animal control?
No, we were talking about, what Winetta said about she's going to have a meeting with the sheriff's office again about animal control.
Okay.
Okay.
And, okay.
Are we skipping on the first one?
Yeah. Oh,
Do you want to do correspondence next?
where is it?
And then executive?
Where is the correspondence?
Right here. It's just the one from Gloria.
Okay, we're having correspondence, okay? This is a letter from Gloria Cristelli to me. But I'm gonna share it with the Selectboard. Okay, Marion, I needed to respond to a significant dog situation last week because Newfane has no animal control officer. I was contacted by Grace Cottage about a Newfane resident who has 4 miniature poodles that needed to be taken care of since he had been taken to the hospital and then transferred to another hospital. I was contacted because of Newbrook neighbors. 5 days later, I was finally able to get the dogs boarded at Monadnock Humane Society, since Windham County Humane Society does not board dogs, and they needed all sorts of information before they would or could try to get them fostered. In the meantime, the dogs needed to be fed and let out. Technically, I could have contacted the Selectboard to take the dogs since you are the default animal officer. In parentheses, I know because I've been there. I didn't, but I should have. What can the Selectboard do about this situation? I know that you put out an appeal to get someone, but I should not to have been responsible for all of this. Just saying. Well, Gloria, we spoke about this in person, if you're still on Zoom tonight. And we thank you very much for the extra work you did in taking care of these little poodles. They were sent over to Monadnock, and fortunately, with the help of Gloria and new neighbors, she found 4 separate fostering homes for the poodles.
Awesome.
And it was really great. And she went to Monadnock and picked up all 4 poodles last week, at the end of the week, and she delivered them to the 4 foster homes. And the gentleman who is the owner and is in the hospital apparently was totally relieved and very much put at ease about his dogs. So thank you, Gloria, for the work that you did with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
amazing.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's amazing, 4 little ones.
I know. Okay, so we are now up to executive session, and that means that Angela, you said you're gonna call in by telephone?
Will you call my home phone, please? When you're all ready?
We need a motion to end this and then to go.
Make a motion, we end it.
I'll
Go into
second it.
executive session.
Okay, we're making a motion to end this part of the meeting and to go into executive session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so our select board meeting is officially ending this evening, and we wish everybody a very, very happy holiday season, a safe and healthy new year. And please be safe, drive carefully, and stay healthy. Good night.